What effect, if any, do you think events taking place in Israel have on the church in Canada?
Alan, thanks so much for your question. There is a lot of interest in Israel among Christian people. There has been for centuries. And in this generation, we're particularly interested since Israel became a nation again in the 40s. We've been thinking about maybe the imminent return of Jesus is right here. It's just around the corner. And again, we can't know for sure. The Bible says nobody knows for sure when the final days will come. But we're seeing a lot of things happening in Israel that should encourage us to obey what God says we should do as individual Christians as well as the church. The first is to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. An awful lot going on there that is disruptive, that is anything but peaceful. And so our first responsibility, and the first thing all of our churches should be doing, and Christians across Canada should be doing, is praying for God's purposes in Israel, and praying particularly for the peace of Jerusalem, not just for the Jewish people, but for the Palestinian people as well, and throughout the Middle East, praying for the peace to come that can only come through Jesus Christ. The second thing we need to do is to examine our own lives. If these are the last days, then God has privileged us to be the generation that might usher in the return of Jesus. And so as we see things happening in Israel that perhaps are indications of the last times, the last days, then we need to be sure to examine our own lives to be sure we're living in obedience, faithfulness. Then the third thing we need to do is to proclaim that now is the acceptable time of the Lord. It says in Jesus' teachings about the bridegroom that those who are anticipating the marriage celebrate. And we should be celebrating the promise that Jesus is going to return. And we should be glorifying Him and rejoicing in the truth that God is fulfilling His promises to us in Jesus Christ. And so we need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We need to be obedient to follow God in these days so that we can be used by Him, whether or not these are the last days. And finally, we need to be celebrating the fact that the Bible says that there's coming a time where the marriage supper of the Lamb will occur and all will rejoice. Our concern for you here at the Canadian 700 Club is that you're ready for Jesus' return. Once Jesus comes, there will be no further opportunity to come to faith in Jesus Christ. That's what we believe. And so now is the acceptable time. Now is the time for you to turn to Jesus and to know that your eternal condition as a part of the marriage supper of the Lamb is secure. 877-431-7887, 416-431-0700. God bless you. We'll see you next time.